This is our ongoing meditation session. So in this meditation session, we mainly share some basic information for yourself to develop a very clear spiritual foundation, especially with your meditation. And also through these sessions, we try to share information for yourself to build up a very calm, more happier, more wiser lifestyle, and apply this spiritual practice to your day-to-day life. So if you look for that kind of information, you can follow us. So this session every day we have 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. from Los Angeles time. And also we go Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So let me get connected with the other network, then we're ready to start the session for today. Okay, so dear Dhamma practitioners, be comfortable yourself and relax your body. Keep your back straight, neck head straight in one line, and your right palm on your left. So gently close your eyes and bring your attention to this bell sound. And while you're focusing to the sound, mentally relax your body, relax your mind, and relax your breathing with your thoughts. So do nothing extra. Just follow the sound, please. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed one, the exalted one, the fully enlightened one. So dear Dhamma practitioners, before we start our practice session, as usual, we'll take few minutes for ourselves to become very clear with the practice we do here. So when it comes to meditation, it is a very method of practice with the mind. And our purpose is bring the purity to our mind, and the purity means the get out of the greed, hatred, and the delusion. So how the greed, hatred, and the delusion cultivate inside us or increase inside us, because when we reflect on past or the future, that's the very reason can be increase this deeper inside our greed, hatred, and the delusion. So when when you not reflect on the past or the future, there is no way the greed, hatred, or the delusion can increase. So then how you can get out of the past or the future? So that's why we come to the present moment. So the present moment, you can't come by thinking. Then it also going to become influenced by the past. So that's why in the beginning, we need the primary mental object. So once you settle down with the primary mental object, so that will help you to be in the present moment. So then your primary mental object should be something related to the present moment. So that's why we take the breathing, our inhalation, exhalation, or the sensation, or your bodily posture, or even the thoughts happening here. Because that all experience happen in the moment, not in the past or not in the future. Right now, right here, moment by moment, it keep happening. So once you are capable to tune to that, once you are capable to hold it to that, so you start to pick up the rhythm to go with it. So in that very level, what happened? You start to release the power of the greed, hatred, and the delusion inside you. And that clarity, that power of purity, start to bring the ability to see things very clearly. In the very first level, we say, we put it as, you are capable to see things as it is. So that is the very the very nature of tranquility state with your eye. So when it comes to things, means all the perception related to your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. That only 6. There's no less, no more. Only 6. So you are capable to see things very clearly. And in that very level, what happens? When you see things as it is, in that very level, you are capable to get out of this egocentric, self-centered mind. So then how this egocentric, self-centered mind happens? As a result of reflect on your past or the future, and with the help of the greed, hatred, and the delusion, your self-centered mind comes. So what the mistake sometimes we does, it's not a mistake, but it's a very risk we take. It's like when there is a main person or a leader to attack, and sometimes without carrying the outside guard, and without carrying that all the security system, if you directly try to go towards the leader, maybe you are not capable to reach to that. So you have to understand the very mechanism of the security. And once you know that, you can go through that. So same thing that you have to know the very mechanism and of the self-centered idea, or the I am. and what is the security, and how this I am depend, how this I am build up, and what is the shield that you use this I am. So now you know your greed, hatred, and the delusion arise as a result of reflect on the past or the future. There is no way in the present moment you can have greed, hatred, or the delusion. So as example, when you experience the moment of sensation, there is no I experience or something like that. It's just the simple moment of experience. So now you know that the very reason why we settle down with the present moment. So once the mind detached from the greed, hatred, and the delusion, the self-centered idea will disappear, because the self-centered idea depend on the greed, hatred, and the delusion. The greed, hatred, and the delusion depend on the reflect of your past or the future. So it's go like a circle. Once you have the self-centered idea, again what happens? You believe this is me, and you center with you, and you hold this body, the mind, the moment of experience as you, that you depend on the history, and the you depend on the future. So then again the self-centered mind use the past and future to keep the idea of I am to be real. Because when we say I am, you bring certain kind of history. And when you say this is me, you have certain kind of form, names and forms. So the purification of the mind, another way, even though in the deeper level that the very meaning is get out of the self-centered mind, the very purification of the mind is step by step we go. In the beginning, settling down in the present moment, because once you settle down in the moment, the greed, hatred, and the delusion will disappear. Once the greed, hatred, and the delusion disappear, the self-centered idea will go away. So once it comes to that, that is where the clarity going to become so sharp and clear. That is where you are capable to see things as it is. So once you are capable to see things as it is, you are capable to understand whatever you experience, how it come to be as it is. So here, the most of time, it is not about the outside things that we experience. It is more about our form, feeling, perception, volition, and the consciousness that experience that happening inside us. So understanding that mechanism is the very depth of this whole practice. But get to understand it as a formula, understand it as a mechanism, a method, sometimes we need this outside object, because the very human nature is very sometimes seeing things and using things, we are capable to understand things. So here with our mind, our form, feeling, perception, volitions, and consciousness, those are, we in the very first level, we can't see. So that's why sometimes this outside experience we use as similes, as examples, to get some kind of idea. Because once you have that some kind of idea, so that will help you to get into the depth of the wisdom. Because the very behavior of our mind. We follow the shadows. So today we're going to talk about the shadow. The most of the time, your thoughts are shadow of your mind. Most of the time you see the thoughts, but you never saw the mind. When it comes to the character, that our outside behavior, those are shadows of our real character, but we mostly see the shadow of our real character. We never saw the real character. So the shadow never allows sometimes to get into the bottom level. So when it comes to the culture, a lot of cultural, it's kind of like activities, rituals, and sometimes a lot of people keep practice, they don't know the real meaning of it. So what does that mean? The real mean hide by certain kind of shadow actions. So is that action is a kind of like become a shield or become a protection for that authentic idea or the message. So the thing is this, in case if you are not capable to understand the very depth of the meaning or the hidden message, out of that, the shadow action, what will happen to you? As a wisdom, you collect something else. So it happens to us everywhere, every day, even in the spiritual life. There are a lot of rituals, sometimes according to the culture and the traditions, and behind the rituals, there are certain meanings. But if you are not capable to get into that meaning, maybe you follow the rituals, and it's kind of like you get into the shadow and you will never get the message out of it. And even the business, the same sometimes. Look at sometimes the advertisement. It's a shadow of something, but we may be not capable to read the real message. And when it comes to our physical life, always, you know, there is always shadow. But the problem is this, if you are not capable to get into the very realistic message or the very authentic, the physical or the material things, if you just see the shadow of it, what will happen? You may misunderstand it. So that's why it's always, you have to have the strength and the courage to break this shadow. So the meditation is a bring that ability for you with your perception, with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. When the shadow arises with our own emotions or the desires regarding the words, that your inner clarity will give the power to break that shadow. So otherwise you will misunderstand it. That's what happened. As a normal, very simple example. Just imagine, this creates a shadow. So if you don't know what this is, maybe the shadow can become something else. You know, there are pictures sometimes, you know, little cat sit, and the shadow of the cat is kind of like a tiger. You know, so it's, you know, for motivation, sometimes people use it. But the thing is, when it comes to that, the clarity, you have to understand. You don't follow the shadow and the look like, oh, it's look like a tiger, it's look like a lion. Some dogs, you know, their shadow is like a tiger, lion. And you don't go there like that way. You recognize, even though it is that shadow look like a lion, The reality is dog. So when you understand that, it brings the clarity, it brings the peace to yourself. But most of time in day-to-day life, that even your own shadow, if you don't see it very clearly, what happens? You misunderstand. Just imagine you sit somewhere, it's little dark, silence, and maybe you are sitting next to the window sometimes. So there is a bird, or there is a cat, squirrel run close to the window, and it creates a shadow. And maybe if you don't recognize it very clearly, what happens? You see something, that what you see start to mix with your imagination. Oh, somebody ran. Oh, somebody behind the window. Or maybe you sit on the couch and you just half sleep. Maybe someone walk close by, and that the half shadow, half sleep mind catch that shadow and take you to dream level and start to create some kind of dream. So the thing is that shadow is a kind of like a message. But the thing is, most of the time we caught up with the shadow, we are not capable to read the message. With the people, the same. Most of us like shadows. Our reality, behind this skin, underneath this, and people don't see that. We don't show that. We just show some kind of shadow. And in the life everywhere the same. And sometimes we follow the shadow. We never get into the depth. But the thing is, as you know from the wisdom path, there is something. What is that? From far away, when you see the smoke, what the message you get? You don't caught up with the smoke. You start to recognize. You get the message somewhere there is a fire. So there's nothing. See, just see, even though the smoke arises because of the fire, the smoke doesn't show any kind of sign, kind of like the color regarding the fire. It's totally different. Smoke you can touch, it look like white, and sometimes, and you can even breathe it, a little bit, and you can walk through it. But the fire is completely different. But the thing is, how your mind have ability when you see the smoke to recognize the fire, rather than caught up, rather than settle down, rather than just end with the seeing smoke, how you go and understand in the depth of that there is a fire. Just imagine there is a bush, and then and you see the bush, and then in that bush little bit, there is no wind, but the trees start to move here and there a little bit. So seeing that movements of the trees, your mind has ability to understand. There is something behind that tree. So see, that shadow level of wisdom take you to the depth of the wisdom, the very origin of the shadow. So you have that ability. So when it comes to day-to-day life, remember yourself. So the meditation is a method, it's a science, it's a mechanism take you from this shadow to deeper level of the origin of that message. And so then when it comes to that, you never resist that. You never deny, you never hate, you never fight. You never argue with the shadow. That is the first technique that you have to remember. Because if you start to, this is what happened, especially in the politics, in the political world, in the business world, that is a technique that people use. Give the shadow to yourself to fight. And you will get so tired. And you will maybe keep dying yourself just fighting with the shadow. If you don't have enough wisdom to understand, oh, this is the shadow of something, you misunderstand. So, but when it comes to wisdom pattern, you use the shadow to get into the bottom rather than fighting with it. So as example, boxing, shadow fighting. In the martial art, shadow fighting. So you use that to get into the real fight. You don't end with that shadow fighting. So same like in life, with your own form, feeling, perception, volition, recognition. Your form is like a shadow. Your feelings are like a shadow. Your perception are like a shadow. So the thing is, are you going to settle down there, or you're going to take it as the sign for a message? Your volitions, your memory is like a shadow. And sometimes your recognition also a shadow. Your whatever you recognize, just look at so far in your life. Whatever you saw is not real. It's completely something else. So then you saw, 10 years back, 5 years back, 1 year back, you saw something and you thought, oh, it is this is that. And you thought it is real. Of course, for the moment, it was real. But after this all, now you know it was a shadow of something else. See how beautiful it is. And sometimes still we experience things, still we don't know. Still we see the shadow and we take it as reality. Still we don't know it is a shadow of something. So then in our personal life, our social life, our spiritual life, our business life, look, it's everywhere. We are not developed that ability to go through the shadow level of life. So then with the meditation, we never take it as a kind of like a very negative way of something. That is the very key point. You take the shadow is kind of like a message for something. So then you allow it to be there. You don't resist, you don't deny it, you don't think it as a kind of like a negative. You allow it to be there. But at the same time, you take the chance out of it. Rather than grasping, holding, clinging, being with it, you are capable to take the help out of it, and it become kind of like a ladder for you to climb to the higher level. You take that shadow to see, to recognize from where this comes. What is the message? When you see the smoke, you start to recognize where the fire. That is the key point. So then always remember, within your form, feeling, perception, volition, your recognition. Have you ever thought, when forget about the form, because it's little bit, the beginning of that all this experience. But feelings, if we take in a very ordinary level, it's very simple to understand. When the feelings arise, which is because feelings are very expensive in the world nowadays. We pay so much for our feelings. We sacrifice a lot for our feelings. And sometimes we give our life for our feelings. Feelings are so expensive, remember that. But it's a shadow. That's the key point you have to understand. So when the feelings arise, have you ever thought, what is the message? From where this comes? Because see that whatever the feelings came, it disappeared, it go away. So then, if it is disappeared, and if you don't know how it came, and if you don't know where it went, what happened to it, how you can take it as real? Because when you say something, this is real, it has some kind of authenticity. It has some kind of background. It has some kind of history, and it has some kind of future. But when it comes to your own feelings, I just take only the feelings. How you can take it as real? You can't take it because it is a shadow of something. Because the feelings doesn't arise itself. Feelings come as a result of something. That is the very nature of the shadow. Shadow cannot arise with itself. Shadow is a result of something. So then another thing is your recognition. Remember, still as ordinary people, still our recognition is the result of something. That is the key point. That's why we misunderstand. That's why what we saw 10 years back, that's why what we experienced 5 years back, whatever we experienced 1 year back, whatever we experience as in the moment, even though we think it as real, it is a shadow, because that our experience is a result of something. It is not the pure perception. It's not the clear, direct perception. What we experience come as a result of our history, our background, our thinking mind. So then that's why it's kind of like a shadow. We need it. But the thing is, samsara means we go with the shadow. Nibbana means you don't go with the shadow, you get the help out of the shadow and see the real message, or from where this comes, the very beginning of that shadow. And that is the Nibbana. So when it comes to then our life, in day-to-day life, ordinary life, don't caught up with the shadow. When you see something, when you hear something, smell something, taste something, feel something, In the very first level, have a very clear mind to see what this is and see from where this comes. So that is a skill that you discipline you have to develop. You are responsible to do that, because otherwise, in that very moment, the other side of your emotions and will come and mix with that moment of experience, and then what happens? Misunderstanding will happen. So once you misunderstand something, your entire life journey can turn to something else, go somewhere else, and maybe you will never find a way back. Maybe you go to a place, no internet, no Zoom, no meditation class, you can't find anything anymore. You lost. That's it. Done. It can happen. It can happen even within ourselves. So then the meditation is a kind of like you build up a very good, very clear radar system yourself to detect the smoke. That doesn't mean you detect the smoke just only for that. No, because to recognize the fire. So then always you have a very, very good radar system with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind to catch the shadow, to see the message. And then once you have that, within yourself, you can apply it to yourself with your form, feeling, perception, volition, and the recognition happen when it happen inside you. Right there, you recognize from what is the message behind this? What is the very real experience? What is the very real Dharma, or what is the very real happening behind this? And once you see that, you are capable to move forward rather than holding it to anything. So when it go to that beyond the shadow, so our form, feeling, perception, volition, recognition, or anything that what you experience within this outside world, behind the shadow, what is there? So there was a Zen master and the student had a discussion. So in front of the master, the student came and asked, and sometimes I wonder in my life, what is in front of me? Listen this very carefully. It is a very philosophical conversation. The student asked, in my whole life, when I meditate, I always had the question inside me, what is in front of me? I never find the answer, but I know there is something. So the master told, it is your own shadow. That's it. So maybe from now you see in front of your husband, your wife, your children, your parents, friends and family members, this, that, objects, that, everything. But you see that it has, this is my husband, this is my wife, this is my child, or kind of like that. All because of your own shadow. When the day comes for you, I guarantee you can do a, research about it. You can start to do a project about it. When the day comes for you to get out of that shadow and see what is in front of you, you start to experience completely something else. So that's why, and from today, in this journey, it doesn't matter how far we go. It doesn't matter how long we go. It doesn't matter which direction maybe we go up, or maybe we go in the same line, or maybe we go down. We don't know in which direction we go. Or maybe we go round and round and round. But remember, never ever caught up, never ever settle down with the shadow of something. So behind the shadow, then what it is? Behind the shadow, only the change. When you see the change, you will get out of the shadow. That is the depth. So with that, let's get into practice a little bit now. So your right palm on your left and neck head straight in one line, and be comfortable with your posture. So bring attention to your body and scan head to toes yourself and say Supatveva, oh may I be well and happy 3 times. Take a moment and think. We gathered here in this moment to practice this ancient meditation technique. All the Buddhas, all the enlightened masters followed this path and achieved wisdom. So we also gathered here to accumulate that knowledge. In this moment with this sitting, may my body become more comfortable. May my breath be more smooth. May no difficulties come to me. May all the success come to me. Also think for a moment. This is the last moment we're spending in this very lifetime. And detach your mind from all your past memories and as well as any kind of future thoughts. Just try to remain in the present moment, observing the sensation of your inhalations and exhalations. So in the beginning, deeply and gently, breathing, breathe out 3 times and find the sensation, please. And allow your inhalations, exhalations happen itself. And when it happens to the sensation, recognize it, do nothing extra. So when you observe the sensation, remember you take inhalation, exhalation separately. And it's like the shadow. And then by the time you see the beginning, the middle, end of the inhalation, exhalation, and it also become like a shadow. Behind that, there is a long inhalation can happen. There is a short inhalation, warm exhalation. Behind that, the entire body responding to inhalation, exhalation. Behind that, calming your mind, inhalation, exhalation happens, calming your mind. The breathing system happens. Calming your body, inhalation, exhalation happens. Behind that, your thought arise with the inhalation, exhalation. Your thought disappear with the inhalation, exhalation. So like that, little by little, whatever you experience, take it as a shadow and try to experience what is behind it. Bring attention to your body, please. Observe your posture. We cultivate loving kindness and compassion in our heart and radiate it as a light through entire your compound, village, city, state, country, world, around this universe. Also, as far as you can, through galaxies, other planets, stars. Reminding yourself like this. With clear intention, mentally repeat after me. May all living beings in this universe be well and happy. May everyone be happy and safe. And may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one out of anger or ill will wish anyone any harm. Expand the loving kindness and compassion beginning from your heart. Forward. Visualize yourself and send it as a light. To your backside. To your left side. And to your right side. Downward. And upward. To all six directions at once, like the moon, the sun, spread the light, spread the energy, without any condition, without any limitation, without any resistance or without any judgment. Let your heart to shine with the loving kindness and compassion from the bottom of it, with the maximum effort to the highest, wishing yourself, may all living beings in this universe be well and happy. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So first of all, we offer this practice to the great qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. And also by the power of this meritorious deed, may all of us attain to the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all your guardian angels and deities will receive these merits and increase their longevity and protect all of you from any kind of planetary influences or any ill effects. Ittavata cha ammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya Imaya Dhamma Nudhamma Patipattiya Buddham Pujemi Dhammam Pujemi Sangham Pujemi Addaya Imaya Patipattiya Jati Jara Vyadi Maranam Ha Paribundisami Idamme Punya Kammang Asavakkaya Vahan Hotu Sabba Dukkha Pamunchatu. Bless you.